I'm figuring these things out and I'm having a good time. It's pretty fun. All right, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming to check this out. And here I'm going to talk about the future of money. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to guide it with a writing that I did about maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I used to post on steemit.com or .org, whatever it was back then, which became hive.blog. I was really inspired and looking at what money is, what are better forms of value, and this is a topic that I don't think many people think about. Period. They don't think about much. For example, if you're in the United States, you don't think much at all about your paper money that you're holding in your hand, other than the fact that you like it, you want it, you want your bank account number to go up. And then when it comes to, I don't know, people who live in different countries in Europe, people in Europe who, let's say, are 40 years old, they've seen their currencies change multiple times over their life. They've seen this pop up and that pop up, and then now the euros. And especially older individuals in Europe who've been around longer, who've been around, like, I don't know, 60 years, they have a different perspective of money. They've seen they've seen national currencies come and go, or fiat currencies. A lot of people like to call them fiat currencies, but by the way, the proper thing to call them, if you're friends with the Federal Reserve, is national currencies. They look down on people who call it fiat currency. Isn't that kind of funny? Little things you pick up here and there. So it looks like I'm getting about 28 frames per second, and I'm learning a lot about this stuff. So first I want to tell you about some things that I like. Before I go into, how do you say it? Hello again, everybody. I'd like to go into some things that I like before I get into money and the future of money. I like clothing and clothing articles lately. I've been talking about them a lot. I think it's cool. I was doing some hex flexing, and there's people who look down on flexing, and I'll tell you what, if you're looking down on flexing, or you don't like people who are flexing, let me just assure you that the emotion behind that is something that can hold you back from making a lot more money than you're making now. It's something that can hold you back from making better investments in your life. Money is a lot more emotional than people. I mean, people know that money's emotional, but they don't realize how their emotional condition can either have them welcoming tons of money in their life, or it can have them sacrificing opportunities without realizing it to have money in their life. I'm going to press some scary buttons to see what happens here. Nope, not that button. This button. Cool. Yeah, first thing, I do love this Vince jacket thing. I gotta tell the guys out there, if you're looking for some regular casual wear hoodie, I'm talking about Vince, the brand, because it's pretty awesome. You can be out in the freezing cold, but it's warm. You can be out where it's really hot, yet it feels cool. So that's just blown me away. And they're not like super expensive like Louis Vuitton, and they're not cheap. They're definitely not cheap. They're not inexpensive, but like this here is about $200 hoodie, but it is so worth it. It's something that'll stay in your life for a long time. All right. So I'm just taking it off here. It did its good. The temperature in here is pretty nice, but it's just amazing how, like, if you're a hoodie person, you like to wear hoodies, the brand Vince, it's just nuts how you're never too hot or cold when you wear one. It's kind of cool. But other than that, I'm into Louis Vuitton jewelry. I don't have any sort of watch on today, or at least right now. And yeah, man. One last thing, I got these cool pants. I have looked at the whole flexing culture a little bit more too. Someone had asked me about that, said, hey, I'd like you to reconsider flexing, almost as if they could see flexing turns people off. And I mean, it's true. When you want to market cool ideas, yeah, some things you say are gonna piss people off or turn people off. But really, it's the person who's getting turned off. It's their loss. It's their loss of acquiring potentially really nice information, or learning to appreciate something that someone else appreciates. Just want to throw that out there. So I am taking that seriously, though. I am thinking about the flex thing. And let me bring this down real quick. Check out these. Just got to put on these like pants that I love. Got these Gucci pants. These things are freaking awesome. I don't know how well you can see them, but I want to show them out. Someone asked, yes, there is a safe underneath the Thomas Bear. And yeah, there's stuff in there that I don't want people to touch. You just grab the safe and run with it, but that's neat. So here, let me load up this setup on the future of money and get back to that. If you have any questions here, I'll get into some questions on that. Someone asked if I can turn the sound up. I can, but you know what? How about I turn my voice up instead? Let me know if that works out. If me turning my voice up works. I do really like the levels that I have my audio at, but then again, it's not. I don't talk directly in the camera. I don't talk directly into the microphone, and really, that's how you're supposed to talk. You know what? Let me do that. Let me turn up the volume a tiny bit. The website that I'll be reading off of is a guide for the future of money, and this is an old article, but I'm gonna update it a little bit and take some questions for that. It's about the future of money. To get there, go to your web browser and type in https:// that normal stuff, and then type in GENI as in Jenny, G as in giraffe, E as in Edward, N as in Nancy, I as in igloo, .to/money. And that will bring you, I'll bring you to a place like, where is it? Yeah. Cool. Looks like my frame rate dropped a ton. Alright. You know, I wonder, is this streaming on Twitter? Could anybody share that with me? Doesn't look like it is. But it also does look like it is. Alright. So, I wrote like I think it was originally a 4-part series about money, but whatever. I'll get into some things here, some goodies. I'm so sad my frame rate dropped, but I'll be working on that. I legit am sad about this. Okay. Alright. Hola, cheers fam, hola again. Or debt note. Yeah, debt note, that's a way to put it. I'm still learning about debt myself even, like about having debt and being in debt, I guess being two different concepts. That's kind of cool. I mean, as you can see, I don't know everything, but I definitely really enjoying learning more about everything about this. I think I am going to have to turn up though. Let me figure that out and turn up. Let's see. Volume. Okay. Well, I'm speaking louder. Alright, let's see how this does. Get a little bit louder. Testing. Come on, Robert. Testing some more. Testing. Let's see how loud I can get. Loud. Alright. I don't know what's going on. Bigger. Let me make this number go up. Alright. That was probably pretty loud before. How's this? Is this better? This should be better as long as I don't clear my throat. I'll have to gently clear my throat. How's that volume? Is that better? Alright, well, you can let me know what you think about volume. I think it's going to be a bit loud. Alright, I'll try this volume. No, I'll try this volume for a little bit. And hopefully I'm not clipping all of your earballs out. I still am. Okay. This is the volume I'll stay at. Alright. So, the future of money. 5 parts. Each of these articles are, let me say it. Each of these articles are pretty, they're pretty short. Let's go in each one. So I'll have all these parts load up. Part 1, part 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So this is part 1 of 4, turned into part 5. So I posted this originally just because of some numerology stuff. I posted it originally because oh, I hate this little side thing. Oh well. I posted it originally just because like I had like 555 followers at the time when I posted 666 times, and I don't know, 44 people I was following. So I take numbers pretty serious. But so this goes over cryptocurrencies and society's needs. So this starts with cryptocurrencies, and keep in mind, this is a very quick writing. All right, there's a lot of loose ideas. I'm gonna read it out loud and kind of give the gist to you all where it comes from. All right, so do you all realize what development Steam and the Steam-backed dollar will bring to us as a society? All right, so 3 to 4 years ago, Steam did something really cool with their social network and their blockchain. And what that was is it awarded people, people were paid a percentage of like a block mining pool and fee. They were paid based on their attention, on how much attention that people got. So if you wrote an article on Steam, people could give value to your article by giving it upvotes and such. And this was great. This was really great because really that's what value is anyways. Ultimately, it's your attention and your intentions. We'll get into that more. And there's many cryptocurrencies that do work with your attention and intention. One of the ones to best do it is Hex. Go to hex.com, hex.com. But more about that in a bit. So really, to understand the future of money and where money's going, you've got to I'm thinking that I've got to fix this little thing here. You can't read all the text. All right, well, go to jenny.to/money if you want to read along with this. But really, to understand where cryptocurrencies are going or where the future of money is, it's pretty important to understand like why money really came about in the first place. And I'm not going to claim to know where money came about in the first place, but I am going to kind of compile my ideas from massive amounts of information I've received over the years. Information from online, information from history, information from the spirit world and other spirits that have lived long ago. What you find when you have a lot of information is you do find common answers. This is what made Google such a big company, is that Google valued all information, whether it was true or not. Google compiled all information, and in machine learning, all information is valuable. So all right, so what is the future of money? Well, it depends a lot. It depends a lot on humanity's biggest problems. Back then, about 3 to 4 years ago, I could see that the problems with money, it's kind of ironically the same problems with people. Here I say that the biggest problems with money is the root of the problems with civilization itself. So, to share with you some misconceptions. One big misconception about money is that money is scarce. A big conception is that value is scarce. But let's talk about like money as in national currencies and such. So the money that we commonly know of today is called fiat currency. I found out that the industry of money calls it national currency. And money is designed to be scarce and privileged. I think my volume might be too loud on here. Scarce and privileged. Money, for something to represent a value, the money we have today, it's designed to have those two things. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, either way, therefore money itself is going to be artificially scarce and artificially privileged because it's something that is to represent value and such. So it's artificial. The scarcity ends with its design, as money is in fact an entrance ticket that you can manifest with intention, visualization, and prayer. This is explained, exercised, and manipulated by countless human beings. Money is designed to be scarce, just like the goods and products that are also designed and marketed to be scarce. For example, Louis Vuitton items, while they are super high quality and really nice, they are marketed to be scarce. They are marketed to be that way. And Louis Vuitton doesn't just make one bag and sell that same bag forever. They add an artificial layer of scarcity to that. Same with supercars. Could more of them be created and made? Is there a market for more of them? Yeah, but they're designed to be scarce. Their quantity is intentionally low. All right. Then next on privilege. All right. So on the privileged part with money, and this is pretty important, but this has a lot more to do with how to get that money out into the world. Those who are privileged in a money system are those who have access to directly receive new credits of the money, of new supply. Privilege is distributed to those who need a special or difficult to obtain membership to receive new money. For example, with the US dollar, privilege goes to those who print the money, like the Federal Reserve, and those who are an agent to distribute the new money, like the creators of the banknotes, banking loans, the banks themselves, etc. Let me say another thing about that, but with privilege and with Bitcoin, privilege goes solely to the Bitcoin miners. In the hex world, this privilege and this new supply is going to people who are making a promise that they're not going to spend their hex or they're not going to liquidate their hex. All right. Yeah, with Bitcoin, privilege goes to the Bitcoin miners, and with Dash cryptocurrency, privilege goes to the Dash miners and as well the masternode owners and those who win 10% or more votes for the treasury budget. That's a little bit about the Dash cryptocurrency, which had some amazing, and even today, the feats and accomplishments of Dash are quite amazing. Not too important here. So one of these misconceptions here is that money is scarce. No, money's not scarce. It's artificially scarce. Now I can go into a lot of these things, like especially that's pretty interesting about the Federal Reserve getting the US dollar into circulation. That was kind of interesting. That played a lot on attention. But let's talk about other misconceptions. That money is the root of all evil. No, yeah, money is not the root of all evil. It's important to understand money. You've got to understand its misconceptions. And if any of you have any questions in here, feel free to throw them out. Throw them up on the chat. I am very happy to answer any questions. So money is not the root of all evil. Same as people saying like, oh, well, guns kill people, and other people say, no, guns don't kill people. People kill people. There's nothing, of course, evil about money. I hope I don't have to describe this more or explain it to people. But if you want more information, read about it on here. All right. So the next part of this series is the more about money fundamental problems with money. So here I put in the root to a lot of problems with society being that humanity was destroying their food with fire. Now this might seem way left field, but when you boil things down, what you ultimately get to is humanity's emotions and their source of sustenance, and ultimately what you boil down through is humanity did not always cook their food, but how do we make drugs? How do we make drugs that are considered very illegal and dangerous? We cook them. Well, That's how you make any drug. You cook it, you alter it, and this is the same for foods. I'm not going to go too much into that because it is quite a tangent that is pretty difficult to grasp a connection with right away. But here, let's see. Leads us to. All right, so humanity has really created a lot of problems for itself that things like money can come to solve, and things like storing value can come to solve. And one thing that leads to is, well, if your food supply or your water supply leads to this unbalanced functioning, leading to fear that we do not have enough, like fear that things are scarce, or leading to an illusion that we're living in a scarce world, that kind of becomes a problem. People are so concerned today, and concerned in general, with a food supply chain. People are concerned with, I don't know, I've heard some stories about truckers in Canada and how that can be a problem with food delivery. But really, if you're living in a natural environment for your human body, if you're living in the tropics and you're around fruit trees, you don't have that problem. You don't have that scarcity because food is not scarce. That shit grows for free. Ask any farmer who has a tomato business of selling and distributing tomatoes. The tomato itself and the plant, it's free. And then when they go to scale it, it becomes a different story. Okay, so humanity's problems really gave about this need for money in the first place, which is valuable to figure out where money is going. So I put here, give me a second. I need some of this water. I probably seem like I'm promoting all sorts of products and stuff, but I'm just talking about what I love here. This is a water I've drank for like over 15 years. I'm a total water aficionado. I need some of this. Can you hear that nice and loud with this microphone? Okay. See how we're doing. Okay, we're getting about 20 frames per second. Not bad. Okay. All right, so I pointed out here that when it comes to abundance and lack of abundance and such, it's important for us to see the truth that we are literally living in an abundant garden. Excuse me. In the past, it was referred to the Garden of Eden. And, a lot of people don't believe that we're living in an abundant world, and that, unfortunately, if you believe that our world is not abundant in every way, shape, and form, really, I used to believe this too, and it's because I lost this ability to perceive how abundant things were. So this is a good question about money. What on earth is actually scarce? If you want to model scarcity and model money and know how you can make money better and money in the future better, you got to know what scarcity is. You got to know what truly is scarce. Food is abundant. Food is not scarce. In fact, when it comes to food, there's a little interesting thought that the people who have gone the longest without eating have either died and not been able to talk about it, or they eventually started eating. So it's difficult to know really how long humans can live without eating. But one little experiment that I believe in, haven't facted it, is that wherever there's grass on the earth, you can survive on that grass. So really, if you're where grass is, it's quite abundant. But how is this possible? Really, you can't chew and eat and swallow the grass. You can't digest the sugar form that's in there, the cellulose. You can't digest that and use that. So how do you really work with it? Well, it turns out that if you're just chewing on grass, and I don't mean grass in your civilization, grass that's probably sprayed with all sorts of nasty, toxic stuff. I mean, like grass out in the wild. Like you're lost in the middle of nowhere and you need some grass or something. You can survive. All you have to do. All you have to do. Interesting what I'm reading here. Well, speaking about crystals from Be Mindful of Death, the earth itself is a big crystal, where dirt is everywhere. Crystals every freaking where. There's people who believe that the moon is a time crystal. Time crystals, which were first proven in 2017. But yeah, so with the grass, you chew on it, and as you chew on it and suck on it, you start to get juices from the grass. Now you're not going to get a whole lot. You're going to have to put a lot of juice in your mouth, and then you take the pulp out after you've chewed on some grass. You take the pulp out and you toss it to the side. You don't want to swallow the pulp. It's not going to help you. It's going to be way too much fiber. It's probably not going to feel too great. You just want the juice from the grass, and you can get juice from the grass. It take you quite a while. I've done this, and it was kind of nice. So the juice itself is really, it's really what gets into your blood ultimately. Whether it gets into your blood from being absorbed through your esophagus, being absorbed underneath your tongue, for what elements can get absorbed, which is probably all of them. Or you get enough saliva and juice going down through your digestive system, and liquids go straight from your intestines and large intestines. They go straight to your blood. There's no things that need to get broken down in little pieces. So that's a really long explanation just to say, like, hey, food is not scarce. Water is abundant. I mean, you're living on Earth where there's water everywhere. Even when there's nothing but ocean water, you hear from survivalists how to get water, how to extract water. Water is abundant. Living space is abundant. There are people that don't believe there's enough living space here, but I did some quick math on the. Maybe I spent a half hour on it, and I don't remember how many trillion people it was that could live on the Earth, but for the density population of New York, like New York City, throughout the whole world, you're looking at a population in the trillions. I don't remember the number. I calculated it one day, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of people. So living space is definitely abundant today. Health is abundant. Wealth is abundant. Creativity from people is abundant. Okay, so what is not? What is not abundant? The only thing I can find that is not abundant goes into it in these articles, is our attention, and as well our ability to keep promises. Because people, you always have the right to change your mind about anything, no matter what it is. If you make a promise with someone, the truth is you can always change your mind. The other person can always change their mind. That's the whole thing behind free will. So it becomes quite rare for a person to hold their intentions for a long period of time, or to hold their promises. Now with smart contracts, or even just contracts in general, those manage what things will happen in society when somebody breaks their promise or breaks different parts of their promises. But it's a rare thing. Human attention is rare. Human intentions, or their promises, are also rare. They're the only things that are not in abundance in this world. So one thing on attention is, you can only talk with so many people at one time. You can only work on so many things at one time. You can only focus and attend to so many things at one time. And with this couple decade long experiment of mine of learning to become more loving with people and with myself, I realized that attention is a function of our ability to love. Whichever. Either way, attention is not scarce. Now people say, well, time is rare. Time isn't abundant. We don't have all the time in the world. And so far, what I've come to realize is, time's great when you're talking about mathematics and physics. time is pretty cool. You got some kind of constant rate going on that you can measure things with. So no, time is not scarce. The amount of things that you can fit in a certain amount of time, yeah, that can be scarce, such as your attention. But time, was there any beginning? Is there any end? From what I'm seeing, time is not scarce. Your time on Earth, that looks to be pretty scarce. But how are you going to model that in money? Your attention, that's a big thing. Then, once again, promises and intention. Yeah. I mean, you might tell somebody, hey, I promise every single morning I'm going to do this job, I'm going to do this action. And you can change your mind in the future. So by the way, for those of you, I know I'm familiar with a lot of hexagons out there and people who are into the hex cryptocurrency. So keep in mind, when I'm talking about attention, hex models that. And what hex models about attention is, well, one, you've got to be paying attention to the system to even use it. But also, when you stake hex, when you use hex for what it's to be used for, you do need to attend to it. You do need to, in some way, pay attention to when your hex stake has matured and is ready to be end staked. If you don't pay attention to that, that costs you money, but if you do pay attention to it, it's valuable in the hex ecosystem. So I think hex does a fundamental job at using attention to create scarcity. But then you have people's intentions that are used in the tokenomics or the economics, the game theory of hex. And intention is used just by people's promises. Someone may have a hex stake and say, I got this hex, I'm going to lock it up for 1,000 days. They might do exactly as they said, and then they will be rewarded. But then again, they may change their mind. They may unlock their hex, not after 1,000 days like they said, but after 100 days. And so hex, people's intentions are brought into the equation of how everyone gets paid and earns more value. And that's an important thing about what money is in general, that hex does pretty well. I would say it can definitely be done better, but it's taken me a while to realize how to do it better. All right, so other things to think about is, information is once again abundant. So thank you, Internet, and good riddance to indoctrinated education. All right, this goes into people like Russell Targ, the HeartMath organization at Stanford University, and Drunvalo Melchizedek. Very interesting stuff, but yeah, a little piece of information, a little fun fact. Information used to be a currency long ago. That's where you had the Vatican, and that's where you had the Vatican, like, not just the Vatican governments, the CIA. CIA is very well informed and aware that information is valuable and can be scarce. But due to the internet, and even due to people who are mediumistic and know how to talk with other spirits, information really isn't that scarce. The internet is showing us that, and that's pretty cool. So truthfully, what things are scarce? The individual's time, and the ability to communicate, remember, and fulfill your agreement to another living being. That really is intention itself. And here I had an individual's time considered attention and intention, not so much. There are only 2 items that you cannot find in abundance. I will stand to be corrected, by the way. I wrote this 4 years ago, and I know better ways to word it now. I haven't found any things that are abundant in the world, and if I do find them, I'm going to be really, really happy about that and excited. So please let me know what else is rare and abundant. Sorry, what else is scarce and not abundant. All right, that goes to this next part. Yeah, I get a little bit more into history here. Let's see. SHIB gonna be big pump in few days anytime. Yeah, right, man. That's probably what you're hoping, so you can have your bags pumped, right? Maybe. I don't know, but I wouldn't agree with it. I've made a lot of investments I've made in the cryptocurrency world had a lot to do with what was valuable, what was mimicking value better, and the only cryptocurrencies that I'd ever seen to do that. I mean, yeah, getting people excited about a cryptocurrency being different, that has excited people. That has gotten a lot of people to throw their money at a cryptocurrency, and a lot of times lose it because they wanted to hold on and they didn't realize that there really was nothing novel about the cryptocurrency. Um, Cryptocurrencies that I did really well in, Bitcoin, for reasons that everybody thinks are obvious reasons today. The Dash cryptocurrency, um, Steam, which is now Hive, and which is not so exciting. Um, Mana, Decentraland, yeah, but not so much. I got that a while ago. Um, I got some nice pump from that. Did really well. Sold it, I think, probably like 40 cents or something like that. Um, didn't expect it to go over $4, but it did well, and I could see reasons why it would. Hex, Pulse, I believe so. Pulse X, I believe so, due to its tokenomics, and especially the people behind it. I feel like I'm missing one. Yeah, I feel like I'm missing one, but just want to make those for some examples. Alright, a bit of the history. Before we can understand future money, we need to understand the history. Not the history of money, but the history of humanity, and their problems and the proposed solution. Yeah, so, let me just read this here real quick, kind of get myself refamiliar with it and see how much context, or see how really useful that is to this conversation here on the future of money. All right, what we are experiencing today is part of a cycle humanity's been experiencing in the past. As this cycle humanity experienced even over thousands of years, much like the precession of the equinox. What I'm about to express is not exact, however, it is the best illustration I can render. There's no need to call this money. Just remember that this represents the evolution of the fundamentals of scarcity and privilege. If you suffer from cognitive dissonance, oh man, I'm just being a jerk here, I shouldn't write this. Think of my writings as a fictional writing, and it will help you accept the ideas better. True. If you're if you're listening to somebody and you're having a hard time hearing them, for example, a wrecked pleb who is listening to Richard Hart, they might have a really hard time listening to him because they're like mad about what he's saying, or they don't like that he's flexing and flashing. But I tell you what, it's very common that the person you don't want to listen to, it's super common that the person you don't want to listen to is exactly what you need to hear at that moment. I can't tell you how many times like I'm watching like a YouTube talk and I start like not listening. I start like disconnecting and my attention goes elsewhere and I don't really hear what the YouTube talk is about anymore. That's happened to me a ton of times. But I can't tell you how many times I've caught myself doing that. Caught myself not being able to focus on what somebody is talking about, and I forced myself to focus. And almost always, they were saying something incredibly valuable to me. So today, when I'm listening to someone and I notice that I really just can't hear anything they're talking about, and I can't focus on anything, I'll try even harder to listen. I'll try to engage myself more. I'll do whatever I can. Most of the time, it turns out what they're talking about, I really need to hear it. So that's pretty good stuff. So here, ultimately, what I'm talking about is something that is channeled a lot of channeling information, spirits in the past, and discerning whether spirits are telling the truth about things. It has a lot to do with love, and it's difficult, but that that really gets into knowledge. That gets into humanity being very connected emotionally and then even emotionally, mentally, being just very connected with one another. And when you're not so connected with other people, problems arise that can ultimately form into this whole money thing here, right? Well, let's see. Where's the problem? That became a huge problem when it came to survival and preserving the advantages of our species' social and connected nature. The solution: the leaders of humanity created writing systems, and from this came at least four main writing systems: that of the Aztecs, Egyptians, Sumerians, and the Hans, basically the ancient Chinese. Side note: the leaders who went to current day Tibet likely did not need a writing system during this fall of mankind during the original sin. Alright, so like over 5,000 years ago, for the first time, now this is, call this theoretical or whatever, but think of it like a story. A lot of times when you listen to stories, you can get inspired, even though you know the story's not true. But at one point with humanity, information became scarce. Meaning that our ability to communicate and our connection was relatively disconnected. Think about the people that are really close to you. You're really connected with them. You don't need to talk your butt off with them. You can trust them, and things work out great, and you can work together. And then when it's people you don't know or trust, you end up having contracts with thousands of words, and there's problems, right? So then information became privileged, meaning that the medium that contained information could only be published and distributed by those who held it and understood it. So at one point, information became scarce. Information started to get represented by hieroglyphs, like on this screen, and other things like that. And because of that, safety became scarce. We could not work together efficiently. Sustenance became scarce. It really wasn't, but this became a perception due to our fears. And then many other issues. So here, this picture, it's Thoth, the god of knowledge, the Egyptian god of knowledge. Little fun fact: I used to read and write ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics when I was young. There's like a little more than 4,000 characters, I believe. And I didn't know all of them, but I knew almost a couple thousand, like 1,400, 1,500. It was really interesting. Alright, so long ago, information nearly became a currency. Oracles were born, psychics were more rare and highly valued. Training others to write became important to humanity's survival and preservation. Research groups became a priority, and the collective idea that knowledge is power likely developed there. Naturally, specialized groups developed to take advantage of information as leverage. So I'm saying here that something very good came from this. As you know, we all love to learn and teach. It is at our core. Have we always had this feature, or did we develop it for survival's sake during civilization's grave mistake? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that still today. But I got some ideas. Alright, so the future of money. Alright, well, what is humanity's biggest problem that money will solve? Well, there is no money. Sorry, there is no problem. Money does not and will not solve any of humanity's problems. However, money is and has always been a sort of technological tool to help humanity transition back to know how human beings handled relationship problems with their agreements with one another. Well, that's a lot of words. And the illusion of scarcity has something to do with it, just like in the ancient days. Alright, well, whatever other stuff is written here, how many people have asked you about Bitcoin and said, like, well, why is it valuable? What is it backed by? And how many times have you heard that question? For all of you Bitcoin people out there, and you people who understand cryptocurrencies, or you people who don't understand these things, maybe you've wondered, well, what backs it? How is this valuable? And the short answer is nothing backs it. Do you need something to back something? Like Bitcoin, where does the value come from in Bitcoin? Does the value come from the fact that you have these computers coming up with random numbers all the time and then, running them through SHA-256 function twice to see if your hash has a certain amount of zeros in the front of it? That may have been like too much information, but that's really what mining is. It's not valuable. It's useless. It's an implementation to prove that the computers did some work, and that work is SHA-256. So yeah, what is Bitcoin backed by? Nothing, and it doesn't matter. Your attention and intention is involved in it, but ultimately, it's useful. If it's useful, another human being is going to put their attention on it. There's a lot I could say there to argue against it, but so before money itself could evolve, information had to first become abundant through an artificial means. Hold on a second, let me back up here. So here I wanted to highlight that money is how human beings handled relationship problems with their agreements with one another. That's a very broad way to say, like, hey, I'd really like your sandwich, and could you give it to me? And then the person with the sandwich says, no, not really. I made this sandwich and spent time on it, and okay, well, how about you just give me money? Yeah, give me some money. Give me this tool that I can easily give to somebody else and somehow represent my attention or my work effort to make that damn sandwich and to give you that sandwich. So here, once again, money is how human beings handle relationship problems with their agreements with one another. Here's a transaction, an agreement between two people of like, hey, give me your sandwich and I'll give you some money. Or maybe they take the sandwich. Maybe the person who wanted the sandwich takes it from the creator of the sandwich, and the creator is like, well, hey, damn it, how can I give me that sandwich back? Make me another sandwich. Okay, give me some money. So you see, money keeps showing up as a tool here. All right, so before money itself could evolve, the information had to first become abundant through an artificial means. And this is what became the internet. So you pay attention that the internet amplified our ability to communicate, and the internet amplified our ability to share information or communicate. The internet amplified our ability to transact this information, transact these ideas, transact our words. Well, this new internet we have, Web 3.0, or the blockchain internet, Ethereum, Bitcoin even, this new internet amplified our ability to just transact. Whether we're communicating, whether we're agreeing to something, whether we're relating to one another, whether we're making plans or whatever it is, those are all transactions. A transaction doesn't have to be solely something about money. All right. By the way, another little flex. Got this Louis Vuitton sandals. Are so ridiculous, but I am taking them off. These things are not feeling great. It would have probably been better to stake how much those things cost. Stake those in hex for 5,555 days. Yeah, I think so. So this new internet, which is pretty genius, amplifying our ability to transact. Now that's huge because that's at the core of what human beings are doing all the time. So humanity was very excited about the internet for good reason. Today, money is scarce and privileged, just like information used to be. But that is a good thing. Once something is scarce and privileged, the next step in evolution is the humanity's collective realization of abundance. Well, the truth. There's an old saying, "The truth will set you free." I don't know. I don't know if it's in the Bible or something like that, but my understanding is that Jesus of Nazareth was somebody who said the truth will set you free. I'm sure there were Greek people and Roman people, well, Greek people. I'm sure there were philosophers that said that. So now, in a world where information is abundant, Bitcoin is born and survives. Or Bitcoin was born, like, what, 12, 13 years ago? 13 years ago? I don't remember. But Bitcoin, it depends on a fully connected society via the internet. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, they require an internet society. And to mock money, Bitcoin needed to also function as a currency in the way where it was artificially scarce and it was artificially privileged. And that is what Bitcoin did fundamentally and beautifully. People could see that the Bitcoin mining was simply a waste of resources. So later, people could see, wait, this whole mining thing is a waste of resources. And this is where those people began to realize that there's something fundamentally wasteful about money. Well, that just really shows you that something better can be created. Like in the Hex world, you hear all the time about Hex and the ecosystem and Pulse ecosystem, or the upcoming Pulse ecosystem, having no negative externalities. Yeah, things can always be made better. But here, all Bitcoin experts agree Bitcoin was too privileged. Having Bitcoin miners was the only privileged. The fact that Bitcoin miners were the only privileged ones, it became a bit of a problem. Read more about this from jenny.to/money, and you'll get some cool stuff. Now, I saw Steam, the Steam cryptocurrency. I saw it at a point as the first form of money that was truly scarce. Its tokenomics sucked, though. Its game theory sucked. The fact that you could vote things as worth your attention, that was beautiful. But the fact that you could vote things as not worth your attention and potentially take value away from people, that was a crippling flaw of Steam. But I did see Steam back then as a form of money that was much more scarce. Alright, so here, the future of money I put down was that it was not money. To put it plainly, the future of money is no money. It is not money. Damn it. Well, as we can see today, to people who have one model idea of what money is, they don't see Bitcoin as money. They don't see Ether as money. They don't see Hex as money. They don't see even the US dollar coin or DAI currency, DAI. They don't see that as money. It is. It's just different, right? So the future of money here is not money as we know it. So let me read some of these recaps. The most relevant forms of fluid money today are Dash and Steam. That was like 4 years ago. Today, I would say the most relevant forms of money today are the DAI stablecoin. I don't think any stable coin or any stable thing or US dollar stable thing or US dollar, I don't think that's worth anyone's time or attention. But today I would say, Dash does a great job at it. A lot of people don't know or care about Dash. It really isn't too interesting. It's a blockchain. Dash is a blockchain that does not. It can't do intelligent things without the whole protocol changing. Where systems like Ethereum and upcoming Pulse Chain and EOS, these can do really smart things. Hex. Hex is absolutely a kick-ass form of money. So today I would say it's Hex. Dash is cool too, but Dash has a lot of things to change, and I don't think they're going to make it. I think Dash is going to be better off being implemented as a smart contract. But the thing is, what's amazing about Dash though is Dash does have better security than Bitcoin and probably Ethereum. I haven't followed this topic in a while, but last I watched, Dash had a technology that made it much more secure than Bitcoin. I've looked at this a ton. I've had security individuals that I worked with look at this as well. But Dash had instant finality with its transactions. Its transactions were instantly finalized. You didn't, because of how it worked, you didn't have to wait for a block ledger to be created. This was really interesting. This was really awesome what Dash did. But people don't care that much about things being instant or things having more security. Um, but besides that, Hex is awesome, and Ethereum that it runs off of is awesome. Ethereum is so expensive today because it's awesome. To do anything on Ethereum, many of you probably know you're paying very high fees to transact. It's because of the fact that Ethereum is awesome and very useful. And then what do you get after that? You get Pulse Chain coming up, where it won't be as expensive to transact, and that's huge. There's no reason why Ethereum needs to cost more to transact. I don't think the problems that Vitalik and company or others are working on, I'm not sure how valuable those problems are to solve today. Vitalik has a background in cryptography, and he understands a lot of problems that exist in the blockchain world, and they're pretty important problems for scaling. But a lot of these problems, we haven't even reached that point yet of it being a problem because adoption hasn't been that high. I think it's difficult to prioritize which one is better. And you know what, everyone? I am going to change this volume down a little bit more because I'm doing crazy stuff with the volume here. Alright, I hope that's better. Alright, so money has always been a tool. Today it's better termed as a technology. I think that's really valuable to know about this. In fact, if you're somebody who likes to work on your emotions, there's no better than the subject of money to work on and find all sorts of emotional issues you have and emotional problems and emotional errors. Money is a great medium or a great tool to find that. The biggest misconceptions of money that I thought back then and probably think today are biggest misconceptions are that it's actually scarce and that it's the root of all evil. Let's see, what are other misconceptions about money that we have? I'm not sure right now. The only thing on earth that is actually scarce rather than artificially scarce by design are the individual's time and attention and the individual's ability to fulfill their societal contracts. I am going to modify that today and say that the only thing scarce, not just on earth but in the universe in general, in the spirit realms, earth too of course, is someone's attention and their intentions. So it does boil down to humanity a bit. Yeah, those are the only rare things. So we now live in a world where information is abundant compared with a passive information value due to scarcity. I have no idea what I was saying there, but okay, we live in a world that is abundant. And you know, I think it's interesting that the Pulse Chain Sacrifice worked with the SENS Foundation because everybody, they're looking into curing diseases and being able to be around on Earth long enough to enjoy your money, and the SENS Foundation is looking into longevity research and anti-aging things. And that stuff, while I'm not a great example of it right now, if you look at my Instagram, you look back at when I was a fruitarian, or even talk with fruitarians, health and longevity and all those things, they are a problem that can be solved and have been solved. And ultimately, when you reach like high areas of health, you run into the fact that health is easy. Physical health is easy. The difficulty of it lies in people's emotions. So, when you have people that don't understand why they're coughing, don't understand why they're sneezing, don't understand why they have a headache, that information's valuable, right? But it's all very easy information, and Yeah, I find it quite sad that so much money is being donated to the Sense Foundation when the answers to longevity and youthful appearances, and the answers to all diseases, they already exist. You're not going to find them easily on a Google search or a DuckDuckGo search. You're not going to find them. There are too many people bidding on your ignorance because information is still a currency. All right, next, the tool, technology, money really does not solve any problems of humanity. However, it exposes and suppresses humanity's core issues while enabling us to share our attention and pay. All right, pay our debts, blah, blah, blah. These new decentralized currencies cannot exist without a connected society. One way of achieving a connected society artificially is with technological means such as the internet. Yeah, you're hearing about the metaverse and stuff, which is just the same as virtual stuff, virtual reality, being online, and that's a way for us to be connected, right? It's quite an artificial way of us connecting, but it works really well. So many people have forgotten that you were connected emotionally. I mean, how many times do you think of somebody and then they contact you, right? Or you contact someone and they say, "Oh, I was just thinking of you," because you're all connected. A lot of times it's hard to really to know it and to even just communicate in general. And this is something I'm learning a lot about lately. And that's all I want to say about it. Likewise, money itself is a bottleneck problem to human evolution. And Steam is the first form of money that is truly scarce, not artificially scarce. I still stand by that, and I think some of the tokenomics and ideas behind Steam, they can make better forms of money today. Hex is indeed the best thing out there to mimic attention and intention. It can be mimicked better, and I think if it is mimicked better, people will find it to be an even greater store of value. All right, so this thing that I wrote here, if you're interested in how the future of money is no money, you can read this yourself. Alrighty. Well, it's all the time that I want to give for this. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your interest. I hope this is helpful. I really do. These articles I wrote on money and the future of money, I wrote them because those ideas that I was having, I didn't see them written elsewhere, and I didn't see people talking about them. And ideas are worth spreading and worth sharing. So I hope you enjoy them. Hope you enjoyed this chat. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting below. And let's see what we got going on. Next live stream's coming up. I'm going to redo the live stream for Hedron.pro. I think Hedron is worth checking out. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. Lately, I also looked at Liquid Loans. I think it's called Liquid Loans. I don't even remember. Liquidloans.io. Found it very interesting what they're doing with the USDL, or their approach to having an algorithmic stablecoin. Algorithmic stablecoins have really been the holy grail of stablecoins in the minds, or from the people who founded Tether and brought USD Tether up and about. Doing things algorithmically were always their dream. Then again, these stablecoin providers, including Circle for USDC, they saw, hey, wait a minute, having these funds, this is pretty kick-ass for generating interest, for generating profit, or putting it in the hands of other banks and other groups that guarantee their safety and their profit, etc. So Liquid Loans, really interested in, they're doing things with Pulse Chain. Hey, long story short with all this, you've watched this because you're interested in money. And if you're here this far, like, okay, if you're here this far, please comment something like, please comment abracadabra. If you can comment that in the YouTube, I'll know you've come this far listening, and that's kind of cool. But if you come this far, you